Good evening. It is Tuesday, March 22nd, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show post. Live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented to you by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on sports this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined by my partners in crime. What's going on, J3? How you doing this evening?
What's going on? Feeling good, man. What's up, fellas?
Hey, three. What's up,
Yeah,
buddy?
what's good?
Sense is back in the building. What's going on, Sense? How you feeling, partner?
Feeling good, feeling great. Missed you guys. Happy to be back in the fold, ready to talk some sports. Let's go.
We got my brother Ed in the building. What's going on, partner? How you feeling?
I feel pretty good today, and I'm curious right now. I got see Sense got that Magic Lakers jersey in the background. I think that's a new debut.
Hey, trying to manifest, man. Trying to manifest.
What's up, fellas?
And hopefully we'll be joined a little later by the professor himself. So this evening, we're going to do some quick hits. And then it's supposed to be March Madness.
It is.
It's supposed to be March Madness. But the madness has been the NFL. This has been the craziest offseason that I can ever remember in the NFL. So we got to talk about the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Then we're going to get to March Madness. And depending on if we have some time, we might get into a little NBA. But we got to get to the big stories first. Real quick, some quick hits. We got to say congratulations to two people and then give major props to a third. First, I want to congratulate the Great Eight, the Capitals' own Alex Ovechkin, who became the third all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history, passing Jaromir Jagr with his 767th goal. This happened maybe about a week ago. We just didn't get it. But he's done it in 1,256 games, which is like 200 fewer games than Jagr did. So it's an amazing number. Ovi also tied the NHL record with his 12th 40-plus goal season in his career out of his 17-year career. So out of 17 years, Ovi scored 40-plus goals 12 times.
Wow.
And still getting it in, because this year he did it again. So he ties the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Anytime you tie Gretzky in anything in the NHL record, that's crazy.
Yeah. You're doing something.
So Ovi is on the move. He's only 31 goals behind number 2, Gordie Howe, the great Gordie Howe, who played for 4, if not 5 different decades. And then he needs 124 goals to catch the great one, Mr. Gretzky. But if Ovi plays 3+ seasons, he got a shot. Because it doesn't look like he's slowing down. Speaking about congrats, we got the Laker gold back there with the purple. We got to say congrats to the king. LeBron James passed Karl Malone, become the second all-time regular season scorer, passing his 36,929. Now, LeBron already has the actual record for most points scored in the NBA if you include playoffs and regular season. But now he's chasing that regular season mark, which is held by the big man, the El Capitan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 38,387 with the one-of-a-kind shot that no one could ever stop. So if LeBron plays next year and he has a halfway healthy season, even at a very low average, he's going to be the number 1 scorer regular season plus all time. So
amazing.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And while he did that, a sneaky little thing that he did also this season, he became the first player ever
30, 10, and 10
to be 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, triple 10,000, at least 10,000 plus points, 10,000 plus rebounds, 10,000 plus assists. So we already said he's second on the NBA all-time scoring list. He's 7th on the all-time assist list, and he's 39th in rebounds.
But I got a question for you all. I mean, let's think about this, right? We're talking about an individual that came straight from high school that's been in the league for 17 years. Don't you expect something like this to happen?
No, because it hasn't happened before.
No,
No, I don't.
Uh-uh.
There's been several players that come from
Who had
from
that
high
pressure?
school
Mhm.
and went to the NBA. Kobe.
Kwame Brown.
No, we're not. Come on, stop.
That's wrong.
My point is everyone comes in straight out of high school, especially Kwame Brown being that number one pick. You had that who was handpicked by, in some people's opinion, the GOAT, Mr. Michael Jordan, to be that person that LeBron currently is. And it didn't pan out. So not everybody's built like that. So you got to give him his props.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, J3, because I definitely see, because he had to basically take Kareem. Kareem had to stay 4 years at UCLA, and then he got to the NBA.
Right.
So I see the point. Jordan, 3 years at UNC, then he didn't. So I see where you're coming from, but it's still a great accomplishment. His body, he has to stay healthy.
Accomplishment.
Yeah. I'm not taking nothing away from him. I was just asking a question. I mean, because again, he came into the league being that dude. I mean, we all knew that. So I think you would expect him to surpass all records. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Usually somebody will be good at one or maybe two. You take who LeBron just passed Karl Malone. Karl Malone was a scorer and a rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a passer.
Right.
John Stockton was a passer and a scorer.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd passing. Have somebody put all three of those together like that is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
that debate's going to linger on forever, though. Who's GOAT, Jordan or Bron. So, at this point, we just gotta get a man his flowers for reaching that milestone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's quite obvious that LeBron has changed his mindset and his focus, and LeBron is going after that scoring title. He's trying to be the oldest player ever in the NBA to lead the league in scoring. He just took the lead last night when he dropped his 38-point triple-double. So he's leading the NBA at 30.00 points per game.
That's your opinion, Prof. That's your opinion.
Slightly ahead of the big man in 76 in the 76ers.
Joel Embiid, and the Greek freak who's just cruising through this year, who both are at 29.8. So again,
well, he got to shoot for something this year.
I said he changed his focus.
Yeah, you did.
And last but not least, in the quick hits, got to give a shout out to Vasily Lomachenko, former 135-pound lightweight champion, who's Ukrainian. He went back to Ukraine to help protect his country. He just announced that he is not going to fight for the title, which he wanted to get back against George Kambosos this June. He's going to stay in Ukraine with his family and continue to protect his country. He had the option. The country and the sports ministry told him, if you want to go, we understand, because you're turning down tens of millions of dollars in a short career in boxing. But he said he's going to stay here. And also the heavyweight champ, Alexander Usyk, who decided he is going to leave so he can train, so he can defend his title again that he took off of the big Brit. So you will get the heavyweight rematch sometime this summer. But Lomachenko says he's staying for as long as he needs to stay. So shout out.
That's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's strong.
All right, so let's get into the madness. And unfortunately, I'm not talking about the NCAA. The NFL will not leave NCAA basketball alone. Thursday, opening day of a full slate of games where it's supposed to be all about college basketball. And what does the NFL do? We get that drop. Oh, yeah. Wide receiver Devontae Adams is not coming back to Green Bay and is leaving to be reunited with his boy Derek Carr, who were college teammates. and signed the largest deal ever for a wide receiver to be a Las Vegas Raider. 5 years, $142.5 million.
Is he worth it?
$67.5 million fully guaranteed.
Is he worth it?
He's worth for someone to pay you.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Carl got another target.
He's the best receiver in the NFL. No matter how you slice it, he's definitely in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
No, Big Reg, he's number 1, and it's an easy argument. It's an easy explanation. If you take a number 1 receiver, right, or if you look at the receivers across the board, and you see, well, who's on the other side? He has nobody, and has never had anybody on the other side of him worth even paying close attention to. So he's definitely, for me, he's it, because that's how I measure. Okay, how you good now? But how good are you? And ironically, Antonio Brown, yes, him, he actually made me really, really think about what's a true number 1. And he explained that, okay, if you think Juju, this is what drove him off the cliff. If you think Juju is a number 1, this is why he was in Pittsburgh, wait till I leave. Then you'll see. I ain't heard from Juju since.
Yeah.
Well,
matter of fact, Juju just signed with Kansas City to be the number 3 or number 4 option.
Yeah. So Devon. So look, he's worth it. I'm glad Raiders, AFC West.
Yeah, it's gonna be stat. And I'll say one last thing. We all know whose last dance it was now.
And what's funny? Y'all boy Aaron, tried to, the contract things out there are false. That $200 million contract is false. Yeah, the only thing that was false was it wasn't 4 years, it was 3 years.
Right.
Because he got almost $151 million, all of it fully guaranteed unless he retires. So he got $50 million a year. And then they tried to lowball Adams. Adams say, I'm not playing for
the
franchise tag. And if you disrespect me, I'm definitely gone. And then at the last minute, they say, we'll match the Las Vegas number. Yeah. Y'all have your boy and enjoy it. I'm going to play with my best friend. I can go by Jay Gruden's old house. I can live right next door to him. I mean, not Jay Gruden, John Gruden's old house. Live next door to my partner, and we good. So congratulations to Adams.
So the AFC gonna be banging this season. Oh my goodness.
That was the NFC North.
AFC.
It's gonna be interesting to see what that NFC North gonna be like. That things are shaking up.
And then on Friday we say, okay, this is second day. Full slate of games. It's gonna be cool. Then the big bomb dropped.
Boom.
Deshaun Watson gets traded from the Houston Texans, along with the 6th round pick, for 3 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 2 number 3s, and a 5th round pick. Not only to the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry, I missed that. Not only did Cleveland trade for him and give him all this compensation, they tore up his contract. Deshaun had 4 years and $129 million remaining on his deal.
Well, really, it would have been the year 1 of his extension that he had signed right before all this stuff went down.
Right, but he got some signing bonus for that, so that's why.
Right.
Yeah, it was 4 years, $156 million. It was like $39 million a year. Mm-hmm. They tore the contract up and gave this man a 5-year, $230 million new contract, and they fully guaranteed every cent of it.
Wow.
Deshaun is the first quarterback other than good old Kirk Cousins to get a fully guaranteed contract to sign it. Wow. Every dime is guaranteed.
Wow.
And not only that, they sweetened the pot because they structured the contract. They gave him almost $45 million at signing. And I'll tell you what he's going to need that money for. And his first year salary is only $1 million. So if he gets suspended, you get suspended based off your base salary.
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
So
That's crazy.
There's so much to unpack.
Yeah. Oh, let's get into this, man.
Yeah. Look. First of all, I applaud Cleveland. I know a lot of people there. Look, this is a polarizing subject because the white elephant in the room, and let's just put it on the table, is that there's currently 22 civil lawsuits pending against Deshaun Watson. And these
not just civil lawsuits, sexual misconduct,
I was getting ready
and
to say,
assault,
right.
Civil lawsuits,
right? And if you read them, and that I won't get into, but if you read these allegations, they're quite graphic indeed. But nevertheless, there's 22 women out there that Deshaun Watson, either in some form, shape, or way, will have to answer to and settle all this before he moves forward. Because I do believe there's going to be a suspension, and I believe it's going to be a minimum. You heard me say it first. I think it's going to be 8 games. I know the chatter out there is saying, well, Ben Roethlisberger, who had faced some similar allegations with 2 women, got suspended 6, appealed, ended up serving 4. And there's been, I think Kareem Hunt, his new teammate, that wasn't an allegation, that was assault. We saw that on camera. I think he got 8 games for his transgression. So what I'm saying is, the management team in Cleveland, and they did right by Deshaun as far as how they structured the contract, how they even lured him to Cleveland. I'm sure we'll get into that, how they even lured him to Cleveland. But I have to applaud Cleveland for doing something, because the alternative was maybe having a disgruntled or unhappy quarterback in place who is average at best. And then when you look at the scope of things in the NFL, it's all about franchise. If you do not have a quarterback in the NFL, a franchise leader, capable quarterback, you're not going to win. You're not. The days of the Trent Dilfer taking Baltimore to the Super Bowl and just going along for the ride, or Tampa and Brad Johnson, those days are gone. They've totally restructured the league, and it's all about the quarterback right now. So Cleveland did what they had to do when they looked at the scope of the NFL, the scope of their team, the scope of their franchise, the scope of their fans, and they made this move, which I applaud.
And the scope of the AFC.
And the scope of the AFC.
So I want to get to 2 things. One for levity, the other is a little more serious. So let's address the other white elephant in the room. And what are they going to do with Baker? Because Baker's already asked for a trade, to which Cleveland denied. So how are they going to play that now?
Well, actually, they denied it before they had Deshaun. Now they're entertaining trade offers, but they're being unrealistic because they want a number 1 in return. There's not a team in the NFL that's going to give a number 1 up for Baker Mayfield. He's just not. No, he was drafted number 1 overall in his draft class, but clearly that was a colossal mistake. Even with good health, it was a colossal mistake. So no one's going to give him a number 1. Well, Carson Wentz got a number 1 last year. So no sane organization is going to give up a number 1 for Baker Mayfield.
Let's deal with Deshaun, and we'll get back to Baker in a second.
Okay.
First of all, I just got to point out, we're talking about Cleveland, and you gave them props for making a move. I understand why they did it.
Oh, yeah. So that's my second part with Deshaun. So
yeah, I think you're breaking up a little bit since. They've been in the depths of quarterback hell for decades, that they were willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. That's fine. But then don't come out and release a statement 2 days after the story breaks that you did this extensive and exhaustive background search on the situation and you feel empathetic and all that, but you made sure that things are right, and you never talked to any of the young ladies or their attorney. And I know there's some legal things or maybe, but you never even reached out to see if anyone, plus you didn't have to talk to the 22 that has lawsuits, because there's others who didn't file lawsuits that are available that they can talk to, and they ain't talk to any of them. So don't give me the, don't put it down my leg and tell me it's raining.
But
Come
Big
on
Reg, I think you have to take that statement that was released by the owner and his wife, the Haslams. I think you have to take it with a grain of salt and at face value, because they weren't talking to necessarily a well-informed or intelligent. And I'm not disrespecting anybody, but in today's society, everyone hears it on the news, sees it on the news, and takes it as that must be the truth. So I think that's where they were coming from. And I think it's all about optics. We talk about it all the time on here. It's the optics of it all. We know it was a mess. We know it was messy. We know it was dirty, and we know it was cutthroat as far as how Deshaun ended up in Cleveland. We all know that. The four of us right here, we know this. It's not a secret. But to the average person, maybe tuning in, maybe catching it on their ear, a clip. Oh, okay, well, they did do their due diligence. We know they didn't, but we knew it was it's win at all costs in professional football, professional sports. So that's what it was.
Yeah, I feel you. We apologize for the little feedback that we're getting right now, but we're going to keep pushing on. So what do you think about what are you guys' position on Deshaun being able to play with these allegations still hanging out there? And I understand everybody has a right to make a living and all that. But I guess it's that one thing. If we were talking about 1-2 people, maybe. But like I said, we're in the 20s. This is kind of like that, the Tiger Woods kind of thing. When this came out the woodworks, you never heard anything about it. Then everybody came out and said, oh, he's been doing this for years. That's the kind of thing it is. So, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I think I'll address it in separate. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. So I don't know the extent of these allegations. I don't know the extent of whether or not they're necessarily 100% true, but I do think there's some element of truth within each one of these. But then also at the same time, I'm sure there's probably some element of truth that he may be innocent. I can't say that, but what I can say is that the way he went about as a professional football player, as the leader of that franchise, as the face of that franchise, as a top 2 or 3 paid quarterback at the time, now number 1 quarterback in the NFL, there's certain ways that you go about your business. Now, he allegedly searched social media and other forms, not necessarily on the up and up as far as business practices for these massages, these masseuses, and he flew them in basically from everywhere to give them these massages. So I think that he could have been a lot more professional about how he went about maintaining his body, because we all know, the athletes spend tremendous amounts of money and making sure their bodies are operating at an optimal level. But I just think Deshaun, the way he went about obtaining these services, leaves a lot to be desired. And it just doesn't, it doesn't seem right, because I wouldn't necessarily, like if I put myself like as me, not him, I wouldn't even seek out massages, from social
people you don't
media.
know. Right. You're a professional athlete. You're not going to let anybody just touch your body.
Right. So, like, are you getting references? Do they have some degrees to back these services up? So I just think it's weird. And at first, when all these allegations first broke, it also coincided with him asking to be traded, and a lot of things went down in Houston. There was a lot of speculation about the ownership. Maybe they're sending the Wolves after him. But even that narrative doesn't really sound right when you look at the scope of these allegations, the amount of women coming forward. I do think there's an issue right there, and for that, I hope he gets some help or puts better people around him to make sure things like this cannot go, can go south. And then it leads you to questioning his character, like who is advising you, like who do you have in your corner telling you or arranging stuff like this? So look, I personally, I like Deshaun as on the football field, but when you're making this type of investment in a player move, it has to be more about than just winning ball games. It has to be at some point.
I gotta agree with you, Ed. We really didn't hear anything until after he said he wanted to be traded, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like the floodgates open wide open. Out of 22 women, I'm sure that there's some truth to it. However, only time will tell if it's actually going to come out or not. So we can't pass judgment on the brother because we don't know if it's true or not. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Well, here's what I think Deshaun should do with that $45 million signing bonus. He got to pay Uncle Sam. So let's say Uncle Sam can take 40 to 45% of that. So that's going to leave Deshaun somewhere between $22, $25 million. If Deshaun and his legal team was wise, they would go to all of these ladies, true or not, and have a cap of $1 million each and negotiate and settle these and get it all ready and chalk it up to, and I hate to use this term, an idiot tax.
Yes.
For the way he decided to carry around business, whether it was right or wrong, and just get rid of them. Because the longer this goes on, and these could last for years, he's currently sitting down with depositions today and tomorrow, twice a week, and he's going to be doing this for the next month, doing initial depositions, and then they go back and forth. This could be going on for years. You don't want this to continue over top of you. Every time something happens, it comes up. You doing something good, it comes up. He needs to write it off, move on, chalk it off to a bad experience and keep going. And last year's money that he made on his fifth option, that's going to go to his lawyer, Mr. Busby, and just that another part of this idiot tax and move on with his life. Because if he doesn't, he's going to pay for this long after it's done.
But I can't believe Cleveland wouldn't write something or discuss something, but probably more on paper than just a informal discussion. They have had to have these conversations with him and saying, "Hey, man, whatever happened it's happened, but we have to move forward because you're going." The first question out of any reporter's mouth when you get to camp, when you get to OTAs, when you get to camp, when you after each game that you play on, I guarantee the first question is going to be related to this, what happened in Houston. So this has to be removed where his answer could be, we moved on from there. We've settled it. I want to talk about football, but they have to be settled. This can't linger in the 22 season.
I think BJ said it best, man. They brought him up to Cleveland so they can sell some tickets and they can be contenders again. So we're going to see what's going to happen because I guarantee he get on that field, he going to show out.
Well, but the one thing about that is the performance on the field might be one thing, but Cleveland Browns have no problem selling tickets.
Yeah.
They're going to sell tickets. They're one of the founding. I mean, I know the Ravens or the Browns or what have you, but they never had a problem selling tickets.
Yeah, It's going to be interesting. I think he's going to, again, prove that he's going to be in the top 5 because he's going to have something to prove. But he needs to put this behind him and move on. That would be a little advice from Post to Deshaun and his crew. Get this behind you. And I'm sure Cleveland told him something similar, but they can't make him do it. So, but the Watson thing set off a whole avalanche of other things because your boy Baker threw a hissy fit. First, he tweeted last week his goodbye to Cleveland and said he didn't know what was happening when the news that Cleveland was interested in Watson came out. And then after he found out that Deshaun had eliminated him, then he said, well, now I want to trade. He tried to stick out his chest.
So come on, man. Let's think about this. We all know Baker Mayfield had his opportunity. He had multiple opportunities, and he didn't take advantage of it. They brought in another quarterback to show him that he ain't the one. So he need to just get traded, move on, and hopefully he can land a job with another team that's going to utilize his services. Cleveland just didn't do it for him.
Yeah, it's funny. So he immediately said he wanted to go to Indy because Indy traded their quarterback from last season to the Commanders. So that was a prime position. If you was a free agent quarterback, Indy was a place to be. Indy wanted no parts of Baker Mayfield. Indy finalized a trade yesterday where they bringing in 37-year-old Matt Ryan to be their quarterback and going to pay him $54 million over the next 2 years over Baker.
Well, it just goes to show that, I mean, you don't have to be a spectacular quarterback, but as long as you're Caucasian and you're subpar average, you're gonna land a job. Plain and simple.
Well, I do agree with that. I do agree with J3 on that. But with Baker's whole persona complicates things. Number one, he's undersized, and his athleticism didn't translate from Oklahoma to the NFL. It just did not. And he should have known that. Number two is that he has an injured, surgically repaired throwing shoulder. So that complicates things. And this isn't, and Baker Mayfield, let's be honest. He had he was offensive rookie of the year. He showed some promise early on. But the one thing about it is this is not a Drew Brees leaving San Diego and going to New Orleans with a repaired shoulder. This is not the same thing because Drew Brees was a much more accomplished quarterback than Baker Mayfield prior to before he got to New Orleans. So we're not dealing with it. We're not dealing with that. Number three, Baker Mayfield believes he's better than he actually is, but by evidence, and it's no fault of his own, but he shows up on national ads multiple times, and his persona doesn't match his talent level. And then number four, OBJ's dad totally exposed Baker Mayfield with film and tape, the same film and tape that every GM had already known. They just brought it to the public's attention. So he's not good. I mean, that's why let's be honest. If you're a young quarterback, one of these young guns, and we have several now, you're not going to get to your fifth year without a contract. Okay. I don't know what's going on in Baltimore, but again, we're not going to get to the fifth year without a contract because these first round quarterbacks, they have 4 years and then the team holds the fifth year option. They're going to rip that up before you even get there. So Baker Mayfield, Cleveland already was like lukewarm on him. So yeah, Baker Mayfield, he will have a job because like you said, J3, which I totally agree with you. Caucasian quarterbacks, they get chance after chance after chance after chance. But Baker Mayfield might be more Johnny Manziel than, Colt McCoy.
Yeah. And what's crazy about it, he was a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, number 1 overall pick, and walks around like people think he couldn't play with a grudge, and that just rubs so many people the wrong way. And then he did the worst thing. He actually proved that he couldn't. At least not at the level of a number 1 overall pick should be. Right. So, yeah, it's bad. So, in other QB news, happy for Jameis Winston. He had to wait for the dominoes to fall, but Jameis decided to re-sign with the New Orleans Saints. Jameis was also in talks with Indy about the possible position there, but he gets a 2-year, $28 million deal, $21 million guaranteed. He got $14 million in signing, so still well below top-level quarterback, but at least they're not paying him like he's some walk-on guy that you don't think will make the team, like they've been playing him for the last 2 years. And then your boy Marcus Mariota, who's been a backup for the past 3 years.
See what I mean?
Gets a 2-year, $18.75 million contract with Atlanta to be reunited with his former offensive coordinator when they were both with Tennessee, who's now the head coach, Mr. Smith. Read the contract a little bit. Only $6.75 million of that is guaranteed. He got a $5 million signing bonus, and his salary for 2022 is only $1.75. So he's actually getting paid about what James got paid last year.
Again, how many times he gonna get an opportunity to play? I mean, he's had starting positions, and he's always lost them.
Well, I actually think that's a pretty decent move for Atlanta, considering where Atlanta is. Look. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. Maybe. More than likely you won't. But he does nothing. He advances your team nowhere as far as you might be in jeopardy of losing out on a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young next year. I think that's actually a pretty decent and respectable signing by Atlanta. I do.
They had to have somebody to fill the spot. Who would you suggest they sign, J3?
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, man.
Well, we know that ain't happening.
Yeah, come on.
We know that ain't happening.
Yeah, we
Colin got paid for the NFL. Ain't nobody else trying to write Colin any more checks in the NFL. So, DJ asked a good question. Lamar gonna get paid, but Lamar's determined he's not gonna get paid under his value. And Lamar has looked at what Kirk Cousins has done, who has had his last 7 years of his contract fully guaranteed every year. And Lamar's like, oh, no, I'm not going to take below market value. And the longer he waits, he was smart. His market just changed. Deshaun Watson just got $46 million a year. You know, everybody was not going to go above the golden boy, the face of the NFL.
Patrick Mahomes.
Who signed a 10-year, $450 million deal. Nobody wanted to go over that $45 million a year because you can say Patrick Mahomes is an MVP and Super Bowl quarterback and also played in another Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson just did that. Now, he can walk in the Ravens. I got MVP. Deshaun don't.
The only thing I'm concerned with is that I hope that Lamar is getting good representation, because I know when he came out, he didn't have his, he opted not to get an agent, and I think
him and his mother,
him and his mom, and so that's all well and fine. That's when your rookie contract is pretty much slotted anyway, but I think he should be careful because Lamar, I think, has a shelf life unless he does some things to his game to change. Now, I'm not asking him, I'm not suggesting that he take below market value, because there's really no need, because I mean, there's just no need. But I would be careful, because I don't know if his game has advanced enough where it will start translating as he grows deeper into his later 20s, early 30s and beyond. Meaning that, is the athleticism going to still remain intact? Is Baltimore's offensive line built well enough, because it hadn't been last year? Is it built well enough for him to continue to do these amazing things with his legs and on the ground? So I just got to be. I would be careful moving forward if I was Lamar.
Ed, Michael Vick went away for 2 years. Didn't play football. Got another $100 million contract after that.
That's true. That's true.
Lamar's worth the money. Plain and simple. The question is Baltimore going to pay him?
Don't pay me this year. Franchise me. Franchise me again next year. He's getting the average of the top 5.
That's
so he's
true.
not losing money there.
That's true.
And then after the second year, now, I do the Dak Prescott. And what's the number going to be then? 50?
Probably. It's already 50.
Is Dak worth that amount?
So we will see.
It's not. Look. It's never what this. It's never if they're worth it. It's what someone's willing to pay. That's what it is. And the quarterbacks don't set the market themselves necessarily. Their peers and their peers do. I mean, the NFL does. So the going rate for a franchise quarterback is around. You got to start at 40. You starting at 40. But it's somewhere between 40 and 50. Deshaun's the highest. No, Aaron's the highest per year, right?
Right. Aaron's the highest
so that's
per year.
50.
50. Deshaun's 46. Mahomes 45.
Yeah. Russell's what?
You got.
Where's Kyler Murray at?
Oh, he's not.
He's on his rookie contract.
That's why he's
bitching, right? He won his contract. You're like, hey. You got Josh Allen is at 42 and a half. They just gave the Rams quarterback just got an extension. Stafford at $40 million a year.
Yeah, so that's the bottom. That's the starting. That's the conversation. That's where we start talking. So then, and look, even with me being concerned with Lamar's, athletic ability maybe fading, he's better than Dak. I mean,
he got an MVP.
Yeah, he's better than Dak Prescott.
Come on, a unanimous MVP. So all right, let's get off football. We gotta get to this tourney. We still got the madness though, especially in the men's bracket. I know some of y'all filled out brackets, and I know y'all was really upset after Saturday because the brackets were busted.
Trash.
But it was interesting. So we broke down the brackets and talked to you. What's up, Professor? Glad you could join us.
Good evening.
What's up, fellas?
The West bracket went chalk. Gonzaga, number 2 Duke, number 4 Arkansas, number 3 Texas Tech. All chalk. But there were some good games in there. Number 9 Memphis took Gonzaga to the brink. They only beat them 82-78. Number 4 Arkansas barely beat number 13 Vermont. I mean, it was some tight games. Texas Tech had to hold on against Professor's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So, ended up chalk, but that's where they were. Then you get to the South bracket. Shout out to Juwan Howard, those Michigan Wolverines. After the year he's had and what he's dealt with, to get his boys, young men, prepared to play the way they played. Michigan beat number 11 seed, beat number 6 Colorado State, 75-63, and then beat number 3 Tennessee, 76-68. And if you didn't see it, because I know everybody saw the Juwan Howard thing when he pushed the coach, at the end of the Tennessee game, he was consoling one of the Tennessee players who was bawling, crying.
Class act.
Hugged him, pulled him in tight, talked to him, really stood there for a good minute trying to console this young man who was not one of his players. So,
class act.
Yeah, they should have blew that up like they blew up the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not sensationalism. It's not it's not newsworthy.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just to put the narrative out there that this is the Juwan Howard that most people know, And this is why the players play hard for him. He had the same reputation when he was in the NBA, which is why he lasted as a player and then as a player coach for so long, because he is a genuine dude. You know, I always held against him how he held the Wizards' foot to the fire and then went to Miami. But, you know, things like this help a brother change his mind on Juwan Howard. But I just think that touching moment should have been more broadcast than what it was.
Yeah. And then your boy gave you a sleeper when he gave you some, you know, some seeds to look at.
Rich.
Number 5, Houston got number 4, Illinois. And fellas, Houston's gonna be a problem. They won 30 games. Last year they were in the Elite 8. Mm-hmm. They brought most of their team back. They lost 2 players early in the season, 2 starters, but they figured that out. Houston's going to be a problem in this tourney because they know how to play, they know how to win, and they don't take anything from anybody. So,
Big Red, you going to mention my Tar Heels? What's up?
I haven't got to them yet.
Okay, I'm just making sure that they don't get left out. Okay.
Just real quick though. Quick though. I did mention to you. What in the world was that? I did mention to you all that Houston was going to be a problem in the playoff. I mean, in the tourney.
Yeah. And in that South bracket, number 1 Arizona went right through. Really didn't have a problem. Struggled a little bit with TCU. Number 2 Villanova. The NCAA got jokes. You know, they always put the 2 teams that are close together that really never want to play each other. So they had Villanova play Delaware. No, that would never happen normally. And then Villanova beat Ohio State. So some good games coming up. But let's talk about that East bracket. East bracket had 2 surprises. Number 8 UNC, and more importantly, straight out of Jersey City, New Jersey.
St. Peter.
Number 15 St. Peter's made it to the Sweet 16.
Just blew up my bracket. Just blew it up.
Started off by knocking out number 2 Kentucky. Then they followed up by putting a beat down on number 7 Murray State. And those boys ball.
That's
you got
madness for you.
You got brothers from New York City and Jersey City and Newark. Mm-hmm. They ain't scared.
At all. You heard it from the coach.
But how did they lose 11 games during the regular season? That's the question. How in the world did that team lose 11 games?
You know, when you play against teams that you have to play every year, twice a year, they know how to play you and they figure out things, your weakness. When you've never seen them, and you know Kentucky ain't take St. Peter's for real.
At all.
Mm. And then when they face Murray State ain't never seen them before, so you get that element of surprise.
You get a different energy. Yeah.
Can I ask you something about this before we move on?
Yes, sir.
What do you guys think? Is Calipari on the hot seat yet?
No, he's got too much stock, too much equity that he's built in that team with all those
that longevity got him right where he want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, unless there's a scandal, he's straight for right now.
The best thing that happened to Calipari is LSU had to fire their coach because they were coming. Alabama, while their coach is doing some good things, they don't play disciplined basketball, so that hurt them. So the only team really that they got to worry about right now in the SEC to possibly take their crown is Arkansas.
What about Auburn?
I mean, you saw what Miami did to them, so.
Well, Miami's good, but okay. All right.
Real quick, before we go ahead.
There's some smoke. I'm telling you, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's some smoke.
I don't think so. I know I was having technical difficulties, but did y'all give Michigan their flowers for making it to the
Absolutely.
Cool. All right.
Absolutely.
Just checking.
So Tubby Smith won 1 national championship, the same amount as national championships as
what color was Tubby? What color was Tubby?
Oh, there we go.
And
Here we go.
already know that. I don't even know. I don't even know.
You know they want Tubby there in the first place. Come on now, Ed. You know we keep it 100.
Racism.
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna stop.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, Professor, your UNC Tar Heels also are a problem.
Thank you, sir.
When they beat Duke for your boys' final game in Cameron Indoor Arena,
Yes.
that pushed them to another level. And now, especially if they play anybody that's got any kind of size where they can match up with the size, and then they got that crazy, interesting point forward that they got that nobody kind of respects, but can ball his butt off. What's his last name?
Manic. Yeah.
Can ball.
He can
but
ball.
you look at him and be like,
Yeah,
he don't look
can
like no
ball.
player.
Right. He can ball.
So, yeah, they're a problem. UNC's a problem. And last but not least, the Midwest bracket. Got a shout out to Miami. Miami's got a coach that used to be here local that took a team to the Final Four.
Nazaranga.
They
Yeah,
should have brought
George
him back,
Mason.
man.
Yeah, we should have.
They couldn't pay him enough. That's why he went to Miami to get that ACC money.
But see, now they were courting Rick Pitino. So, I mean, they got some money now.
Pitino's damaged goods. Where's Pitino coaching now? Siena.
Iona.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Iona. I'm sorry.
Iona.
He damaged goods. He ain't making a lot of money. So,
But he already got a lot of money.
Yeah,
he ain't got a lot of money.
And he's still coaching. And he's
He's still
coaching.
pulling in a lot of money. So
Exactly.
So you got Kansas, Miami, a sneaky team that nobody's talking about is Providence, and then Iowa State. Another pick your boy gave you last week. Told you, watch out for Iowa State. I gave you 6 sleepers.
Richmond.
UNC, Richmond, who won their first round game, Iowa State, and Houston. Your boy tried to hook you up. That was 4 out of 6. Just saying. What games caught you guys' eyes before we get to the ladies?
That
I mean,
Houston Illinois game was good.
Yeah, I was obviously for me to come from behind victory at Michigan. That was definitely a good one.
We know Professor was watching UNC.
Oh yeah, I mean, we already covered our game, so yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
All right, I'm gonna give you a couple Sweet 16 and Elite 8 sleepers if you're playing any of those little games out there where your bracket's busted, so you're trying to get in. Texas Tech is gonna beat Duke.
Good. look, even though I wanted the showdown between Duke and UNC.
Yeah.
But if they get tossed beforehand, I ain't mad.
I can see that happening.
Number 15, St. Peter's, is going to the Elite 8. They're going to knock off number 3, Purdue.
Yeah, they hot.
Yeah.
And they got the kind of team that's going to give Purdue problems.
Where's that game at? Where are they playing that game?
That game is in the... I don't know exactly where it is. It's in the East bracket. So it's going to be probably more people from Jersey, even though Purdue travels well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the East Coast game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UNC over UCLA. Tar Heels make it to the Elite 8. And I like Providence to beat Kansas.
Ooh, that's
I'm not mad at either pick.
Okay.
I'm giving you something. And for J3, I ain't want to steal his thunder. Houston also going to knock off Arizona.
I hope
that's
that
big
one
talk
goes.
right there.
Yeah.
That's big talk.
So the bracket's going to get shattered again this weekend. And everybody going to be like, oh, well, we can just watch basketball for the fun of it. Let's talk about the ladies real quick. Man. And I'm sorry we don't have a whole lot of time to get to them because I really wanted to get into it. But something happened in the first round games, and I know Professor and I was going on about it. and I just want to talk about it just briefly. University of South Carolina had a first-round matchup with Howard University, and that showed the disparity of what happens when there's no investment in women's athletics, or very little. You can see the huge difference in equality level between a HBCU and a Power 5 program. And it's a shame it shouldn't be that way. I understand HBCUs ain't got the money as the Power 5, but we need to start investing in these women and their sports if you ever want to grow this sport and for the benefit of the women just in general. So that was my point of view from the game.
But I don't think you even have to limit it to the women, Big Reg. I think that when you look at the HBCUs, and this is what I've been, we've talked about this on this show, but I think that it's an overall investment in the programs of these HBCUs. If it not only limited them to sports, but because we're talking sports, let's talk. But that's where because look, if you look on the other side of University of South Carolina, and thankfully Coach Staley could have been worse than what it was.
Yeah,
it could have been worse than what
she called off the dogs. Yeah.
But if you look on University of South Carolina's roster, I mean, them girls could go to Howard, you know, but you got to make it attractive. You know, you got to give them a viable reason why they need to come here. So, or go to a HBCU. So I think that's where we need to work.
The perfect model for HBCU excellence in sports is Jackson State.
Yes.
Not only did their football program with Dion re-energize, Jackson State's ladies basketball team made the NCAA tournament and played a close game, did well. Their basketball team's getting better. So there's an example, and all these HBCUs need to get with them and figure out what they're doing. And of course, people need to invest in the HBCUs. But the disparity, I said this to Professor, Howard's Division I team is actually on a Division II, maybe even a Division III level. Yep. But the school is Division I, so that's where they play. But they're playing the MEAC, so most of the teams they play are at that level because the funding is much lower than the men.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I truly hope that it's a wake-up call because I know alumni, people that support Howard, love Howard. If they watched that game and saw the destruction that really happened on that court, then what you're saying has to happen. The support has to swing that way. And we need to get more attention to those sports to make sure that the money is there to build them up in a way that they can compete, because that was an utter embarrassment. And I felt heartbroken for those young ladies, their faces, the coach. I mean, it was demoralizing and it was on a national stage. And we got to do more to protect that and make sure it doesn't happen in the future.
But my question to this, Big Reg, so is it the program that caused that disparity, or is it the players that caused it, or is it a combination of both? Because keep in mind, players have the option of going wherever they want if they're talented enough to play in a Division I setting. So break it down to me.
If you're a talented Division I prospect and you go visit the program, and I won't even use South Carolina, I just use local schools. You go visit the program at Georgetown, University of Maryland, which is a top 10, 15 program in the country in women's basketball, and then you go visit Howard.
I ain't even know that.
It's night and day.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we already know the disparity most of the time between men's and women's sports is already lopsided. And then you take that to the HBCU level, and they exaggerate it even more because they figure nobody comes to see women's sports at HBCU, so we're not going to put any money into it. And that's just, to me, one of the worst reasons that they can find for not financing things. I see it all the time on these sports chats that we in. Oh, no more anybody see any women's sports stuff because they don't make any money. They don't make any money because no one ever invested in it to make money.
Right. 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 Yep.
So that's the issue. So you're not going to get prime prospects, especially women prime prospects, to go to an HBCU unless that HBCU is really doing something right. Like Jackson State's going to be able to get some girls who may have been getting scholarships from some Power 5 or the next 5, but know that they were only going to be backups. I go to Jackson State and start and still get my name out there.
Right. Yeah, the same energy that these HBCUs put in these bands, that's what they need to put in their sports programs.
Yeah, and they will, Ed, if people back it and they fund it at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the funding still has to be there.
That's true.
Like, we'll go to games. You know, our students, us, we'll go to the games, but we need the funding to be put in those places to make sure that you get the facilities, like Big Reg just said, that you get at least a little bit of TV exposure, and folks coming and just supporting those programs. We don't make a loud enough voice. I mean, think about it. We got our show, and I bet you if we did a search right now, we wouldn't find too many other ones that are highlighting HBCUs like we are.
But it's possible because, you know, what Dion has single-handedly done, you know, with Jackson State, it can be done.
Right.
It can be done.
And that's why we need those that have done great things in sports to come back into coaching or be ADs and just shed light on these programs, and then it'll come. And like you say, we've seen it in the last couple of years. We just need to keep going
and take some big time alumni to come back.
Right.
Jenny or somebody to say, hey, I'm going to help finance this program and help it out. You got Steph Curry financing the Howard University golf team. Yeah. And he never went to freaking Howard.
I mean, you got multiple
Morehouse need to reach out to
alums.
Denzel's son. Denzel's son played for Morehouse, went to the Rams from Morehouse. You know, I hope that somebody in the athletic department is at least talking to him to try to do some of that stuff.
It takes an effort from everyone, and like you said, Big Reg, it's like multiple millionaire alums at Howard University. Something can be done.
So, on the actual basketball side, University of South Carolina, the overall #1 seed, like I said, they beat Howard. They struggled with Miami. It was an ugly offense game, but they won by 16. If they're gonna win, cut down the nets, they got to figure out that offensive issue. They'll meet #5 UNC, another Tar Heel for you. So your Tar Heels going against South Carolina. I don't think you got good chance with that, but it's out there. And then #3 Iowa State's going to meet #10 Creighton, who's doing some good things. In the Spokane bracket, see, they can't even get East, West, South, Midwest. I mean, what are we doing here?
The disrespect is real.
In the Spokane bracket, #1 Stanford looks like they might cut down the nets again. They look really good. But for that Sweet 16 matchup, they got to deal with the #4 Maryland Terps. And the Lady Terps, if they hit their outside shot, going to give Stanford everything they want.
Oh, yeah. Coach Free is going to get them ready.
They Stanford might wear them down with the depth.
Stanford got like 4 or 5 young ladies that are 6'5" and above.
Ouch.
I mean, it's just crazy. But I think Maryland can beat them with the athleticism. Whoever wins that game should win that bracket and make it to the Final Four. In the Wichita bracket, #1 Louisville meets #4 Tennessee. Tennessee made it to their first Sweet 16 since the season after Pat Summitt left. So that's huge
BJ.
for Tennessee.
Yeah, BJ.
Huge for Tennessee. And since your Michigan Lady Wolverines, #3, will meet #10 South Dakota.
Dub.
They better be careful. I'm just telling you. I like South Dakota to beat Michigan.
Oh, boy.
And last but not least, in the bracket that was set up for failure. Number 1, North Carolina State in the Bridgeport bracket with number 2, UConn.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what they're trying to do. So number 2,
happen?
UConn will face Indiana. I think that'll be an easy contest. Then I think we get number 1 and number 2 in Bridgeport, which is 45 minutes away from UConn's campus.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Fixes in.
All right. Sorry we ran a little long this evening, but that Deshaun Watson stuff and all the NBA craziness was more than we expected. So we needed to get into that. And we definitely didn't want to miss out on your NCAA brackets. Next week, hopefully, we'll just be able to talk about Sweet 16, Elite 8, and NBA, because the NBA is really getting good. Really getting good. Most teams only have 9 to 11 games left before the postseason, so we're going to really talk some NBA next week, unless the NFL goes crazy again. All right, fellas, it's time for our final post. J3, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, real quick, want to get a shout out to Tony Hollins for shooting a 279 bowling and a 722 set last night. Good bowling, Tony.
Wow.
See Cuz doing this thing. Big Ed, you up?
Hey, just good to see everybody again. Thank you for all out there in cyber world for tuning in. We touched on the Deshaun situation, and wherever you fall in line, just remember that it's entertainment, and you can either choose to participate in it or not participate in it. So don't take it personal, and don't take it to heart. Y'all be safe out there.
Good point. Professor, what you got for me?
Yeah, I just want to shout out future Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. I spent quite a bit of my afternoon just watching the hearings and just very proud of the way that she's composed, the way that she answers the questions, her expertise, the fact that she leans on the justice system and not politics is showing through. And I think that she's well deserving of this post that's been afforded to her. So just shout out to her and prayers that they get her confirmed.
I'll second that for sure.
Excellent. Since what you got?
I just want to touch on this head coaching search for the University of Maryland and just implore them to do their due diligence. I know the pool is pretty shallow as far as
it's too late, isn't it?
They already hired somebody.
Yeah, it's too
Did
late. Yes.
Yeah,
That's the guy that's sitting home, sleeping hard. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Right.
But
no, I'm late. I didn't even know they. I thought they were still searching. I thought he was a candidate, but I didn't know they.
They hired that cat yesterday, I believe.
Well, Georgetown's up next.
no.
Shots fired.
Wow, Sense, really? Tell us how you really feel.
We hope so.
No, he got that vote of confidence.
But they need to. It's time. It's time. I like to ask everybody who's out there listening, who may listen, if you pray to whoever you pray to, however you do it, please send a little thought, prayer, love out to the people of Ukraine, what they're going through right now, being invaded by Russia. Not getting into politics. You just got a whole bunch of people that have nothing to do with the political climate getting killed every day, and they're trying to escape the only country that they've known, and it's sad. So just for the Ukrainian people, put them in your prayers, put them on your heart, and hopefully this will end hopefully soon, because it's really sad what's going on over in Europe. All right. It is another week. As always, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live show. We're here each and every week, me and a few of my brothers making it happen. If for some reason you can't catch the show live, you got many options to catch any previous shows. Our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Positions on Sports Talk Show. Just look it up, search it. When you get there, please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Subscriptions are free. If you prefer podcasting, no matter what your podcast platform of preference is, just put in Positions on Sports Talk Show. Look us up. You'll find a bunch of shows. Please let us know what you think about it. And again, subscribe there. And last but not least, if you want to get in contact with us, hit us up on our Facebook page at Positions on Sports, or you can hit us up on our Twitter at Positions at SPO1. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Please stay safe, and we'll see you then. Peace.
See ya.
Bless you.